In this second episode, we'll be looking at the application of the multiplication and division law of indices. So from what we learned in the first episode, I said that the multiplication law of indices states that s raised to the power a times s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a plus b. And I want you to look at this expression this way, look at this law this way. The x that is here is the root number while a is the power. The x that is here is the root number while b is the power. So whenever the root numbers are the same, x and x, and you have a multiplication sign between them, what you do is just pick one of the root number, which I've picked here, x, then add the powers. So this is the statement about the multiplication law, or this is what the multiplication law states. It states that s raised to the power a times s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a plus b. Then also we have the division law, and the division law states that s raised to the power a divided by s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a minus b. So that is, if you have the root numbers to be the same, x, x, and you have a division sign separating them, what you need to do is just take one of the root number, which is this x, and subtract the powers because of this division sign. So if it is multiplication, you add the powers. If it is division, you subtract the powers. So I'll repeat again. The multiplication law states that s raised to the power a times s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a plus b. And I've said that x is the root number. X is your root number. And so whenever you have two root numbers that are the same and are separated by x, that are separated by multiplication, what you need to do is just take one of the root number, which is this x, and add the powers. This is just what the multiplication law is all about. It states that s raised to the power a times s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a plus b. Then the division law, it states that s raised to the power a divided by s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a minus b. So x is the root number, x is the root number here in these indices, x is the root number here in these indices. So what you need to do is pick one of the x which has been taken here and subtract the powers. So division law, it states that s raised to the power a divided by s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a minus b. So let's look at example 1. Example 1 is simplify 2 raised to the power 3 times 2 raised to the power 5. So what law are you going to apply here? Obviously, it is the multiplication law of indices. And why is it multiplication law of indices? Because the root numbers is 2. The root number in these indices is 2. The root number in these indices is 2. And they are separated by multiplication. So you will apply the multiplication law. And the multiplication law states that s raised to the power a times s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a plus b. So that tells you that your 2 raised to the power 3 times your 2 raised to the power 5 will be equal to, what are you going to do here? Since 2 is here as the root number, 2 is in these indices as the root number, you take one of them because they are the same. So we will not take one of them, which is 2, and add the powers. 3 plus 5. So 3 plus 5 will give you 8. So your answer is therefore 2 raised to the power of 8. This is your final answer. So I'll come again with this example. The example is simplify 2 raised to the power 3 times 2 raised to the power 5. So according to the multiplication law, when the root number of each indices is the same, you take one of them. So we've taken one of them here, which is this 2. There is 2 here in these indices. There is 2 in these indices. So we take one of the 2 that is here, and then we added the powers. 3 plus 5. You have 3 in these indices. You have 5 as a power in these indices. So when you add these 2 together, it will give you 8. And that is how we got 2 raised to the power of 8. Okay, let's look at example 2. Our example 2 is simplify 2 raised to the power of 7 divided by 2 raised to the power of 5. So you ask yourself, which law are you to apply in this rule or in this question? The law you are to apply is the division law of indices. And what does the division law state? It states that s raised to the power of a divided by s raised to the power of b is equal to s raised to the power of a minus b. So if you have two root numbers which are the same, what you need to do is take one of the root number and then subtract the power. This is what the division law is all about. So if we apply this law here, we have 2 raised to the power of 7 divided by 2 raised to the power of 5. So 2 raised to the power of 7 divided by 2 raised to the power of 5. So since the root number in this index number is 2 and the root number in this index number is 2, it shows that the root numbers are the same. So what I will do is I will take one of the root numbers, so that will be equal to 2. I will take one of the root numbers and then subtract the powers. The first power here is 7, the other power here is 5, so minus 5. So 7 minus 5 will be equal to 2, so that will be 2 raised to the power of 2. And 2 raised to the power of 2 is still the same thing as 2 times 2, which is equal to 4. So this is the answer. If you leave it like this, you are correct. If you leave it like this, you are also correct. So I come again with this example. Simplify 2 raised to the power of 7 divided by 2 raised to the power of 5. So first, know the law that you are to apply in this question. And the appropriate law to apply in this question is the division law of indices. And the law states that s raised to the power a divided by s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power of a minus b. So if we apply this same law here, we have 2 raised to the power of 7 divided by 2 raised to the power of 5. So for the fact that the root number here is 2 and the root number here is 2, it shows that the root number in both indices or in both index number, they are the same. So because of the fact that they are the same, you take one of them, and that is what we've written here too, and then subtract the powers. The first power is 7, the second power in the index number is 5. So 7 minus 5 will give you 2, which is this 2 that we have here, this power of 2. So your answer now will now be 2 raised to the power of 2, which is equal to 2 times 2, and that is equal to 4. Okay, let's take another example, example 3. And example 3 is simplify 9a raised to the power of minus 5 times 4a raised to the power of 6. I want you to really observe this question very well because it's a bit confusing. So you have 9a raised to the power of minus 5 times 4a raised to the power of 6. So if you observe this question very well, if you observe these numbers very well, you will discover that it is not 9 that is carrying the power of minus 5. Rather, the power of minus 5 is attached to a. Also, it is not 6, it is not 4 rather that is carrying the power of 6, rather it is A that is carrying the power of 6. So if we separate this expression, this is the same thing as 9 times A raised to power minus 5 times 4 times A raised to power 6. We've expanded this expression. So what we did here was expansion. We expanded. So after expanding the expression, you can now collect like terms. And what do I mean? Let the number go to the number and let the index number go and meet the index number. So if we do that arrangement, we will have 9 times 4, because 9 and 4 are the only numbers that are here. Then we have index number times A raised to the power of minus 5 times A raised to the power of 6. So what we did here was rearrangement or collection of like terms. We rearrange the number. Numbers go to numbers, index number go to index number. So 9 times 4 will give you 36. Then from here we can now apply the multiplication law of indices here. A raised to power minus 5 times A raised to power 6. Which law will you apply here? Obviously it is the multiplication law. So if we apply the multiplication law here, what we're going to have is, since A is here and A is also here, we'll take one of the A. So that will be times A raised to the power of, then we will now subtract the powers, minus 5. Oh, we will not add the power, sorry. We'll add the power. So that will be minus 5, which is this power, plus 6. So that will be equal to 36 times A raised to the power of minus 5 plus 6 will give you 1. Minus 5 plus 6 will give you 1. Minus 5 plus 6 is still the same thing as 6 minus 5. And that will be equal to 1. Minus 5 plus 6 is equal to 1. So these two statements are the same. So minus 5 plus 6 will give you 1. Then according to the one index law, you have that s raised to the power, you have that s raised to the power of 1 is equal to x. Anything raised to the power of 1 is equal to x. 6 raised to the power of 1 is equal to x. So that tells you that A raised to the power of 1 is still the same thing as A. So my answer now will now be 36 times A. And 36 times A will give you 36A. So this is the final answer. Okay, just a quick recap of this example. The question is simplify 9A raised to the power of minus 5 times 4A raised to the power of 6. So, and the first thing I said after writing out the question is to first of all expand this expression. And why are you expanding? You are expanding because this power of minus 5 is not attached to this 9. Rather, it is attached to A. So you are expanding because you want to separate the powers, separate the index number, and also separate the ordinary numbers. 9 is an ordinary number here, 4 is an ordinary number. A raised to the power of minus 5 is an index number. A raised to the power of 6 is an index number. So what you want to do is that you want to expand so that you can separate them. So after expansion, 9 a raised to the power minus 5 times 4 a raised to the power 6 is the same thing as 9 times a raised to the power minus 5 times 4 times a raised to the power of 6. So if you multiply this, you will still have this expression. So having expanded it, you cannot rearrange the numbers. And how do you rearrange? You rearrange them as in take the numbers to one side and take the index number to the other side. Take numbers, the ordinary numbers to one side, take index number to the other side. So we have arranged the numbers here, the ordinary numbers 9 and 4. You can see 9 here, you can also see 4 here. So we've arranged the ordinary number on this side, which is 9 times 4. And then the index number will also arrange on this side, which is a raised to the power minus 5 times a raised to the power 6. So after that rearrangement, you can now multiply. 9 times 4 will give you 36. Then how do you multiply a raised to the power minus 5 times a raised to the power 6? It is by applying the multiplication law of indices. Why are you applying the multiplication law of indices? Because this is an index number. This is an index number. You don't just multiply them like that. You apply a law. So, and the multiplication law of indices, it states that s raised to the power a times s raised to the power b is equal to s raised to the power a plus b. So if we apply that law here, because there is a here as the root number, there is also a here as the root number, we take one of the a, which we've written here, and then add the powers. The power that you have here is minus 5. The power that you have here is 6. So it will now be minus 5 plus 6. So, and I said minus 5 plus 6 will give you 1. 6 minus 5 is equal to 1. Minus 5 plus 6 is equal to 1. So minus 5 plus 6 is still the same thing as 6 minus 5 when you turn it around. So minus 5 plus 6 is like you are owing 5, then you have 6. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 6 you are having. Plus 6 means you are having 6. Then minus 5 means you are removing 5. So if you remove 5 from the 6 that you have, let's say you have 6 pencils, or you have 6 pens, and then you want to remove 5 that you are owing. So if you remove 5 from the 6 pens you are having, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what will remain is 1. So minus 5 plus 6 will give you 1. So what we're going to have there is 36 times a raised to the power of 1. And from the one index law, we know that s raised to the power of 1 is equal to x. That is, anything raised to the power of 1 is equal to that number. 6 raised to the power 1 is equal to 6. 9 raised to the power 1 is equal to 9. 10 raised to the power 1 is equal to 10. So anything raised to the power of 1 is equal to that number. So a raised to the power of 1 will still be the same thing as a. So what we're going to have now is now 36 times a, and 36 times a will give you 36a, giving this 36a as your final answer. So with this, we're done with this episode. In the next episode, we will look at further examples, maybe example 4, 5 to 7, to explain more the application of the multiplication and division law of indices.